I'm Michael Kirby, and between 2013 and 2015, I was the chair of the Commission of Inquiry established by the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. That Commission of Inquiry was duty-bound to report on human rights abuses in North Korea. It was established without any contrary vote. So concerned was the Human Rights Council about the reports of human rights abuses in North Korea. Our report, which is this document, was then sent to the Human Rights Council, and by very strong votes it was adopted and endorsed. It was then sent from the Human Rights Council to the General Assembly of the United Nations, and again it attracted very strong votes, and adjournment, as was proposed by North Korea, was refused. And from there it was sent exceptionally to the Security Council of the United Nations. The Security Council doesn't generally get involved in human rights issues, but it did so on this case. So this is an exceptional report, and it deals with exceptional circumstances and exceptional obligations of the international community and of the Korean community to address the human rights abuses that are collected in these pages. I'm speaking to you with the support of my colleagues who were members of the Commission of Inquiry. They were Marzuki Darusman, former Attorney General of Indonesia, and Sonja Biserko, a human rights expert in Serbia. We three, drawing upon different regions of the world, but with knowledge of the universal principles of human rights that were established at the end of the Second World War, at the time Korea regained its independence, those reports were a statement of universal principles, and they were stated by the United Nations in 1945, and they recognized crimes against humanity, and they instructed the international community, which resolved that it would not turn its back on crimes against humanity, but would address them and follow them up. And that is why in Korea, in the Republic of Korea, in South Korea, you have enacted the Human Rights Act. And the Human Rights Act requires action to appoint an ambassador for human rights, a human rights foundation, and to be vigilant and attentive to the human rights of the people of North Korea. And the Charter for Action is contained in the report of the COI. This is what should be done. This is what should be followed up. And has it been followed up? I'm afraid in recent years it has not. And that is why I'm speaking to you today. It was natural that following changes in administration in the United States of America and in the Republic of Korea, there should be new endeavors to have dialogue and to reach agreement between the two Korean states. The issue of peace and security was uppermost in the mind of all Korean people. However, you will not have peace and security in the Korean peninsula unless the issues of crimes against humanity and human rights abuses are attended to. And so just speaking about security without attending to human rights is not a good way to achieve peace and security. It must all be done in the one time. In addition to that, in recent days, the Republic of Korea has not taken part in a number of steps that would have been vehicles for attending to human rights in North Korea. The joint resolution of the General Assembly on Korea, for the first time in 15 years, that was not supported by the Republic of Korea. As well as that, the Republic of Korea and the United States did not support the Security Council restoring the matter in accordance with its agenda to address the issues of human rights in North Korea. And so, unfortunately, we've reached a point where these issues have not been addressed. Now, today I pay respects to those who are leading the struggle for respect for human rights in North Korea. They are in all political parties. They are not confined to one side of politics or another. I acknowledge the election to the National Assembly of Representative Tai Young-ho. I acknowledge the work that was done in conjunction with the Commission of Inquiry by Lee Jung-hoon, who was the former Ambassador for Human Rights in North Korea. I hope that his work will be followed up and that there will be real attention to the Human Rights Act at your meeting and in the months and years to come. This is a challenge not just for Korea but for the international community. But it's a special challenge for Korea because those who are suffering most are the sisters, brothers, aunts and other relatives of those who are living in South Korea so close at hand. I extend best wishes and respects to everyone involved in this human rights conference. I express congratulations to those who receive awards, and there will be no award greater than to see an improvement, a significant improvement in human rights in North Korea, because this report shows how dire the situation is and how it is the obligation of all civilized people to restore human rights with peace and security in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. I pay respects and I send greetings from Australia. We're all in the COVID-19 struggle together, but we're also all in the struggle for universal human rights as laid down in the principles of the United Nations together, and this report gives the roadmap on what must be done.